Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 321 for the 10th of January 2023 for the Ukraine war, or the special military operation in Ukraine, the biggest conflict in my lifetime and in recent memory. So let's go to the southern front, which we have no reports of anything happening around here. Moving on to the Zaporizhia line, similarly, the focus of both sides is not exactly in this place. However, there are artillery exchanges along the line. Nothing significant to report on. Moving on to the Donetsk region, and in the Donetsk front, we have shelling report over at Zolota Neva, as well as at Prashistivka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, and there is fighting reported at Prashistivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry's report that has just came out 1-2 hours ago, and they say they repulsed Russian forces at Prashistivka. So not sure if this is related to the shelling, or it could be the shelling that leads to an offensive. There is also a report of fighting towards Soledar. According to Ryba, they say that there is a hostility resumed at Soledar. So the Far Eastern Marine Corps has conducted reconnaissance and fire defeat on the defensive position of the Ukrainian armed forces, which means the region here is being operated by the Russian Marines. Moving on to the Marinka region, we have Sukhoi 25 shot down over Maximilianivka, and there is fighting reported at Marinka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and similarly at Krasnohorivka. These two regions continue to be a slow push by the Russians, because these areas are very heavily defended by the Ukrainian forces. Further away, there is another two Sukhoi 25 also got shot down over at Yasinove, as well as at Pushkine. So three Sukhoi 25 getting shot down, and it sometimes makes me wonder, is it something to do with the Sukhoi 57, the new stealth fighter of the Russian side, that is causing all these deep shooting downs of the Ukrainian aircraft? Because the number of aircraft shoot down is quite a lot in recent days or even recent weeks. So it must be a cause for concern for the Ukrainian side. Over at the Pervomaisky region, we have fighting reported at Nivelsky, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and War Gonzo reported that the Russian forces attacked Pervomaisky and Nivelsky as well. They also reported this. There's nothing reported about Vodian, but it's likely that there is some kind of fighting around here based on the way how things are being written from the sources. There's nothing much along the New York front, except that at the most northern part, Ryba, the pro-Russian source, reported that the DPR forces, the Donetsk People's Republic militia, has taken a certain stronghold in the Torets sector, which is actually Torets city is here, which is this region here. There is some progress from the Donetsk People's Republic militia. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry also reported that there is fighting near Mayos. These two reports might actually be talking about the same battle. And over at the Bakhmut front, so this is Bakhmut city. At the Bakhmut front, there is a update according to a post by AZ military. I'm not sure where they aggregated the information. There is the map showing that the front line have changed in something like this, where there is an attack of the Russian forces pushing in the northeastern part of Bilahora. So, and also threatens to encircle Klashevka from the rear, from the southwards up. So fighting is reported over at the southern part of Klashevka, according to Surya maps. And then there is also fighting reported at the center of Klashevka, according to Ryba. So Ryba is currently being heavily contested, with the Russian forces already entered into the village proper, or the town proper. So given the situation going on all around the other fronts, along the Bakhmut front, I think the Ukrainians may find it a bit tricky, the situation, to decide whether to retreat or not retreat. However, they do have heavy strongholds around this region this entire entrenchment is actually in the hilltop, and then there is also another smaller entrenchment around here protecting their rear. So maybe if this small entrenchment here got taken out, maybe the Ukrainian forces will actually decided to just retreat away from Klishchiivka, because civilization is actually pretty far away. So that might be something that the Ukrainians must be thinking about. Over at the Bakhmut city, we have fighting reported at Opyne, but more towards the north, because they say northern outskirt. But if you're talking about northern outskirt of Opyne, that's literally Bakhmut, South Bakhmut. So maybe the informations, all this intel is starting to corroborate each other in its entirety. So over at the Bakhmut city itself, there is fighting reported on the eastern side. According to Rybar, they say that the Wagner private military contractors are engaging in heavy street fighting. Photos, images coming out from Bakhmut shows that all these buildings are pretty much flattened. Which means that there must be a lot of artillery shelling along the entire front line at Bakhmut city. There is fighting reported in the northeastern part of Bakhmut city, according to SITREP maps, and according to SITREP map, it suggested that the first two streets in the northeastern part of Bakhmut suburbs is now captured by the Russian forces, and then the Russians are actually pushing through the settlement. So that's another pressure point for the Ukrainians to worry about. And further up north, in North Bakhmut, northern part of Bakhmut, there is fighting reported south of Paraskovyievka. This push in the south of Paraskovyievka is actually moving towards this junction here, near this overhead bridge that was previously destroyed, near at this smoke inspection station. So this junction is pretty important, because this junction actually dictates the traffic coming from Bakhmut to go on the highway and go all the way towards Sloviansk. You can see Sloviansk, and this highway actually links all the way to Bakhmut. And this highway have to go through this cross junction, or they might have to go through some very big roundabout through the small roads. So the latest intel suggested by this post aggregated by AZ Military suggested that the Wagner forces, the Russian forces, is actually pushing towards this junction. The Paraskovyievka itself is also currently under attack. No clear indication where's the fighting now in this Paraskovyievka. At Krasnohora itself, Rybar reported that there is fighting. The Russian forces is fighting near Krasnohora and are advancing in the south, which actually is referring to this one. So at further up north, fighting is reported at Blahodatne, with Rybar in an earlier report reporting that the Russian forces is moving towards Blahodatne. And over at the eastern part of Blahodatne, just over the railway lines, the Russian forces seems to have already cleared up all these what is called farmlands. This is so interesting. All these lines looks like armored vehicle artillery movement. So anyway, yeah, this looks like some military use. So yeah, so anyway, this part is already secured more or less by the Russian forces. And now moving into Soledar itself. At Soledar itself, you can check out the more extended version of the report on Soledar, where I reported the encirclement or the potential encirclement of the Ukrainian forces. So the Russian forces have continued to push forward, and they have captured this hospital region, and that allowed them to have fire control over this road near the hospital. And to the south, the Russian forces have captured the salt mine number 4. And with the capture of the salt mine number 4, they also captured this small dirt road towards the salt mine, which means that the entire route for the Ukrainian forces that are currently being trapped within this region north of the salt mine is now shut out. They are unable to retreat and task the encirclement. The encircled troops range between 300 to 400 troops. That's according to Intel Slava's aggregated information. So we previously did receive information of possible Ukrainian withdrawal. So the 300, 400 might be the ones that are too deep inside and wasn't able to retreat in time. Surya maps and some other mapping map the encirclement to be around here. I do not think that should be the case because fighting was already reached this junction here at Chalova and Kapinsko Koho Street Junction, and there is footage to corroborate this. And the footage is likely 2 or 3 days old, or at least 1 to 2 days old, which means that the front line should have pushed forward further. And there is also photos and reports saying that the Russian forces has already captured the city center or the city administration building, which means that the likelihood of the encirclement is not really around here, but more towards around here. But this is only my my analysis of what is likely to be the case. Russian forces also tried to cut off the retreat route from Soledar, because currently for Soledar, the forces in Soledar, the only way to go is actually northward, or they have to go the very inconvenient and inefficient westward through the grid-like farmlands. So going northward seems to be the fastest way out. However, the Russians are currently attacking Sil as well as at Krasnopolivka. They are trying to cut off the retreat route of the Ukrainian forces. So things are getting really critical for the Ukrainian forces over at Soledar region. Moving into the Sivers front, there is fighting reported at Rozdolivka, Vesely, and as well as Bilohorivka. All this information is coming from different sources. We have the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, AZ Military, as well as and from War Gonzo. So 3 different sources corroborated to their information to show that there is actually active fighting along the entire southern front of the Sivers front. Fighting is reported at Sperne according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and there is also fighting reported at the Luhansk, Bilohorivka according to War Gonzo. And the Russian forces shelled Ukrainian forces at Serebryanka. And that's all from the Sivers front. Moving further up north into the Crimea front, there is fighting reported near Dibrova, along the border of the forest near Crimea. So this is along here is likely to be the fighting region. And further up north at Shevno-Popivka, there is report of Russian offensive operations near Krasno-Popivka. Otherwise, the Crimea region seems to get pretty quiet as compared to the day before. And that's all from the Crimea front. Moving further up north into the Sviatove region, somehow the Russians are still pushing Stemakivka. And there is also reports by the Russian Defense Ministry of artillery shelling of Ukrainian forces at Stemakivka. Moving to the Kupiansk front, there is only shelling report at Ivanivka as well as at Timkovka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. There is, however, an attack on Kryanikivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry in the report from today. So, otherwise, that's all from the Kupiansk front, and this is the entire summary for the day of 221 to the 10th of January. Please press the subscribe button, press the like button, share this to your friends and family and contacts that might be interested in this, and do check out the reports, the last report on the Soledar, as well as there is a live stream earlier just now on the DPA main channel and DPA IRL channel. Do check it out. There was a discussion about the situation at Soledar and the war in Ukraine in general. So anyway, that's all, and I'll see you in the next update.